Hello, my name is Bree, and welcome to Seriously, Bud, a podcast featuring an unexpected conversation with someone in the WordPress community. And now it's time for my dad, Bud Kraus.
Thank you, Bree. You know, I had so much fun last week speaking with Matt Medeiros. I thought I would do this all over again. Today's episode is brought to you by OmniSend, a top-rated email marketing and SMS service. Let OmniSend show you how to boost your e-commerce sales effortlessly. Now, I'll be back at the end to give you my thoughts about this week's episode. It's number 34, so here we go. Mike Auteri, welcome to Seriously, Bud. You went to college?
I did go to college, yeah. Believe it or not, I did.
For the listening audience, or the one person that's listening, Mike and I know each other, so it'll be, I think, obvious. So what college did you go to?
It's now called Stockton University. When I went to it, it was called the Richard Stockton College of New Jersey, which was long and pretentious sounding to me. I like Stockton University better, so I try to refer to it as that.
And what did you study?
I studied communications because I tried to make it in computer science and it was not working out for me. I ended up with a communications degree and a literature minor.
You started out as a computer science guy?
Yeah, I did, but it was not clicking for me. I did full circle. So.
I find that kind of strange because you are a developer programmer.
Yeah, I know.
But you don't have to know computer science to do that.
I mean, I think I'd do better at it now. At that time, it was not clicking for me, and my interests in college were elsewhere.
Is that where you met your wife? How did you meet your wife?
I met my wife on a website called Friendster.com, which dates me a bit. I met her in 2004. Friendster was kind of one of the early social network sites, and its whole thing was friends of friends of friends and stuff like that.
Right.
So you would, a bunch of people that I was friends with in college signed up for it. So they sent me an invitation. So I signed up for it, and you see the friends of people. And she happened to be a friend of a person. I don't know which person. I kind of wish I did, but I don't. And that was kind of a thing. And at that time, you would just talk to people on there. And I was living at home. I wasn't making much money. This was in my early mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my friends either moved away or went to grad school. So it was kind of work and no one to hang out with, really. So yeah, her and I were chatting on there, and eventually we met in person and started dating, and the rest is history.
Well, did you see a picture of her before you?
Yeah.
And what did you think?
Profile. I think she was cute.
Yeah. I can only imagine what she thought about you, but that's
yeah.
How long was it before you realized, I think I'm going to marry this person?
I would say like a year.
Oh, it took that long.
No, maybe less than that. I mean, we got engaged after a year. We broke up once in between there too. I think it was probably after we broke up after a little more than a year.
Right.
We broke up for about a month. And when we got back together a month later, it was probably then that I think I proposed. We got back together probably in September or something like that. And I proposed in December.
So who came running back to who or whom?
I think I was persistent on that.
Were you on bended knee and all that?
Oh, wait, with the proposal or?
No, I'm talking about after the month.
No, I invited her over to my house one time and we got back together. So her mother told me that she missed me a lot too. So as much as she tries to say she didn't, she was, according to her mother.
Now, I know you have a daughter.
I do.
Okay, but how long was it from the time that you got married till the daughter came around?
We got married in our mid-late 20s. So I was probably 28 and she was 26 when we got married, and we were 35 and 33 when my daughter was born. So for a little while it was just us, being carefree, a married couple for a bunch of years. And we started trying around the time that she was 30, and it took a few years for it to happen.
Now, what kind of dog is making an appearance on my...
That is my neighbor's dog. He makes a lot of noise. There's just noise all over this neighborhood.
Oh, God, don't I hate it? I know. Yeah. Now, speaking of neighborhood, you live in Verona, but you've been all over New Jersey, right? Where were you born?
So I was born in Valley Hospital, which is in Ridgewood, New Jersey. I grew up in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, which is, if you look at Passaic County, it kind of looks like an hourglass, right? If you ever kind of looked at it. like on its side. That smallest section of that Passaic County hourglass is where Pompton Lakes is. So you go 2 minutes in any direction, you're within like 2 different or 3 different counties. They're bordered by Bergen and Morris County, and like right snap dab in the middle of Passaic County. But it's like by Wayne and stuff. I would say it's kind of like on the edge, in my opinion, on the edge of the metropolitan area of New York City, because you're basically in the woods after you pass Pompton Lakes.
Probably on the edge of darkness. Right?
Yeah, it's on the edge of darkness. Yeah.
After I know I'm jumping around a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me go back to your wife for a second.
Sure.
Where did she go to school?
She grew up in Clifton, New Jersey.
That's nearby me.
That's nearby you. So she was in Terrible. So I was in, when we got together, I was in Pompton Lakes and she was in Clifton.
Right.
It's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes away, not too far.
And does she work?
Yeah, she works. She works in writing and editing and publishing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She works for a couple websites. She's written a book a while ago. It's a kind of memoir, and she is currently dabbling in fiction now. So she likes horror. So she's been writing a lot of horror fiction. So I like that stuff too. So
yeah,
I mean, I've always liked reading her stuff, but I particularly like reading like the horror fiction stuff. And I've been trying to read more of her things that she's been publishing on that.
Does she work? I know you work at home. Does she work at home too?
Yeah, she's been working at home longer than me.
Yeah.
She worked for a publishing company in New York City called Routledge for the longest time. Well, not the longest time, but when we got married, she was there. Soon after we got married, she's like, actually, I want to kind of freelance. So she left that job and started freelancing. It was making about the same amount of money she was there the first year. So we just like kept her freelancing. And, because she was on my benefits at that point because I had a job and such. So she's been freelancing since, I would say like 2008, something like that, maybe 2009.
For quite a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys run into each other during the day by any chance?
Oh, yeah, we bother each other. Mostly it's me. Usually we're in each other's way. Somehow, like, we're both in the kitchen at the same time. I'm trying to get coffee. She's trying to make tea, something like that. Yeah, so it's constant.
Because my wife works out of the house just on Friday. She's always way too busy to ever talk to me during the day.
I go and bother her in her office. I'll just stand outside her office and bother her. She'll do the same thing to me too.
And my wife has a couch in her office. So I go there and lie down.
She used to have a chair to sit in and she got rid of it. I think that was to keep me out. I still have a chair in mine. It's mostly sat on by a cat, but she sometimes comes in here and sits on that too.
I go in her and lie down and whatever. And she says, you're goofing off again, or you're falling asleep or whatever. I'm told all the things that I do that shouldn't be doing. So, anyway, now this is the time I'm going to let you talk about your little pet project. It's not so little anymore. It's getting bigger and bigger. People are knowing about this. You got about 2 minutes because we don't talk WordPress on my show, but I will give you a few minutes to talk about GatherPress. So what is GatherPress?
GatherPress is a project. It turned 5, believe it or not. It's an older project now. I started it in September 2019. It turned 5 actually during WordCamp US on September 18th. It is an event management plugin. It is a community first plugin. And we have a grand idea of using it as a way of replacing Meetup for different groups that, Meetup groups that like to meet, and putting them on a WordPress powered platform that is powered by WordPress, powered by GatherPress, probably have BuddyPress in there, and letting that larger network be able to tell you about different WordCamps and different online events and stuff, just kind of really bringing in that ecosystem. And I think would make a lot of sense for the WordPress community, because a lot of things are kind of disjointed in the meetup.com because it is, a proprietary system and we have zero control over it.
Well, let's just face it. Meetup stuff it just sucks. I mean,
it is. I mean, it served a purpose for quite a while and it's been kind of clunky for a number of years.
And they've never improved it, and they've just...
Yeah, and they charge a lot for it. And I mean, the WordPress community pays up to $270,000, $280,000 a year for meetup fees for all the groups we have. Yeah.
Better they should pay you that money.
Yeah, right. But the other side of GatherPress, though, is it's not like that's kind of the idea behind building that, but I'd also like it, it's something you can get at off the WordPress repo or GitHub. You can put it on your own site. And if you just want to create a meetup for yourself on your website, you can do that with the plugin.
But here's the problem. You can't call it a meetup if you use GatherPress.
No, I know I understand that. We have been working on what to call these things. The best one I've heard so far was by Megan Haynes. She came up with a word up. A word up was kind of, a word up.
Maybe.
It might grow. Who knows? We'll see if anybody.
How about a gather up? I don't know.
Gather up, giddy up. No,
whatever. Gathers up. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. TBD.
It'll continue to grow. It is. It's.
Yeah, we got a lot of great people working on it.
And you've stayed with it, because a lot of these projects die and yours just gets better. And I hope eventually.
Very persistent. As my wife will tell you, bring it back to my wife, me being broke. I'm persistent.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you have to be. Otherwise, these things are not going to ever see the light of day. You just have to keep plugging away at it. And you have. Now, what do you do when you're not working? I mean, what do you and your wife do? Do you guys watch television at night like the rest of the world? I assume you do.
We try. I mean, if she's feeling up to it, she likes to go to bed early and read in bed, because we're in her 40s now. But we do have a couple of shows.
Oh,
I know.
You're so old. You're in your 40s now.
In my 40s
Yeah,
now.
you're getting there. But do you have a favorite show that you guys watch?
Yeah, so we've been recently watching Unsolved Mysteries. They just dropped a couple more of those, so I usually watch those. Another one is sort of like Unsolved Mysteries that we started. We've only watched one episode so far, but kind of the same kind of premise, but it's called Out There, but it's more paranormal stuff, like ghosts and aliens and stuff. Those are the shows we've recently been watching together. There's other ones we try, like that we see if we like, but those particular ones seem to stick. Other ones we like to watch when they drop a new season is What We Do in the Shadows. That's one of our favorites together. I don't know if you watched that one.
You're asking the wrong guy. The last show I watched was like 30-something. Okay, I mean,
Okay, yeah.
You weren't even born. Okay.
No, I was. That was the 80s. My parents used to watch that.
Yeah. Speaking of your parents, are they both still here?
Yeah, they are.
Good to hear. Do you know how they met?
I think they met on a blind date back in the 70s.
You see, I'm amazed at how many people don't know how their parents. Boy, I hope my kids.
No, I did. I said they met on a blind date.
All right. But other than that, do you know anything? Yes, you did. Okay. I have to agree. You did say that. But do you know anything else besides what? One of them was from Yonkers. Am I right about that?
Yeah, he was in the Crestwood section of Yonkers.
Okay.
He grew up. My mother was born in Clifton, or grew up in Clifton.
Oh, I think I may have heard this from you before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't you own Clifton?
I do own property in Clifton.
What do you own in Clifton?
I own a condo that was our first apartment that my wife and I bought when we first, right before we got married.
Right.
About a year before while we were engaged, we bought that place in like 2006. So it was kind of close to the height of the market.
Right.
So we kind of still own it. I rent it. I rent it to someone in the WordPress community. So it's just kind of funny. But yeah, we've owned that for a while. And at this point, I'm just like, it's an easy rent because it's a 1-bedroom apartment in Clifton and it's harder to sell. So I'm just going to hold on to it. My daughter will probably end up taking it at some point and something. I don't know. That's what I assume. That's what I would do if I was her.
Your daughter is not 10 yet, right?
She is 10.
She is 10.
Good.
Does she have any interests that you could talk about?
She loves art. She does lots of crafts around the house. So she's constantly taping things to the walls and all sorts of things that, once I paint these walls, she's going to stop doing. But, for now, she just tapes art to the walls and tapes little projects to the walls.
You mean she doesn't know advanced JavaScript at this point? I mean,
she thinks she calls what I do nonsense words. She goes, all you do is write nonsense words all day. Yeah.
Nonsense words.
She says nonsense words. She sees on the screen the code and she calls it nonsense words. And she just undermines my job that way and helps me with my self-esteem, especially.
Yeah. Do you guys go on vacation? What do you do together as a family?
Well, my wife refuses to go to Disney anymore, but my parents go to Disney every year. They've been part of the vacation club since the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't remember. But, it becomes, we get a really good place in the park, to stay. And all I have to do is kind of pay for the flight and the tickets. So for my daughter and I, so we just go every year with my parents. My wife went once with us and she ended up getting COVID there and she was kind of miserable. So she's, but I don't want to do this anymore. So she gets a vacation from us And my daughter and I take my daughter to Disney every summer.
So that's what you're doing now. Yeah. You and your daughter go to Disney.
Yeah. With my wife, she doesn't like to travel that much. So she tries to go somewhere close that we can drive.
Right.
We, as a family, went to Mystic, Connecticut this summer after we got back from Disney. And she likes like the little shops and stuff like that. So we try to do stuff like that. We do some day trips. Like we just went to Lunar Fair over the weekend. I don't know if you know what that is. They have it in New Jersey. It's a different park in New Jersey every other week. So it's like every new moon and every full moon, it's a night market. And you go, there's like witchy stuff and it's weird. And it's got like, they have little shops that you can go to for handmade stuff like that. They have like, tarot card readers and all sorts of weird stuff and fun stuff. And then they have little shows. They had like a little drag show. They had a fire show. And so it was fun.
Did you guys ever go to there's a state fair by Meadowlands, right?
Never been there. We see it while we're driving past it, but I never been there.
It's kind of fun.
Usually we try to go to like Renaissance Fair or something. We're like those type of people. We didn't go this year, but we'll go to Comic-Con. So we're going to go to Comic-Con in a couple of weeks at Javits Center. My daughter loves dressing up and my wife loves putting costumes together. I just buy something off Amazon and throw it on. It's something busy and lazy.
Does your daughter do dance and stuff like that? A lot of girls do.
No, she plays soccer. She likes soccer a lot. We took her to see the Gotham, the women's football team or soccer team in New Jersey. We took her and her friend because she wanted to go. We took her as like one of her birthday presents. So she got to go to see that game because that's what she wanted. She wanted to go see. We took her to see the Red Bulls and she liked it. She goes, I want to see the women play. So we took her to see the women's team too.
Yeah. Now, speaking of athletics, I guess we are speaking of athletics, but you are in very good shape, as you know. So I don't challenge you anymore into arm strength because you would beat me. What do you do to keep?
I go to the gym 3 days a week with a trainer now.
Oh, you have a trainer?
Yeah, it was one of the things, like especially coming out of with immersing myself back in the world. There was a lot of mental and physical things that, had to overcome.
Like what?
Just been in your house or wearing a mask constantly for 3-4 years. So there was
wait a minute. You didn't wear a mask inside your house, did you?
No, but anytime I went out, unless I had COVID, then I wore a mask. But what I'm saying though, going to the gym and getting back into shape helped not only like my physical well-being, but my mental well-being. Yeah. So that was one of the things that stuck.
Mike, you've never been out of shape. You've always had
I've just been like very naturally skinny. So
and yes, you are. Yeah. You're lucky. I bet you could eat
but it wasn't
tons of food, right? And everything.
But it wasn't a means of me taking care of myself. That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
A thing that was.
But you consume mass quantities and nothing changes?
I'm gaining a little weight now, but like...
Happy to hear that.
For the longest time, I did not really... I would be the same weight for years and years and years and years.
Wow, you're lucky. You're so lucky. Now, when you work out, do you
Sure.
I assume you've gained weight because muscle weighs more than fat, so that would cause...
Yeah, I got a little fat too because I was drinking.
You do. You have a little fat.
Drinking a lot in my
finger. Stop it.
And a little bit
of... Where? Your pinky somewhere?
Yeah.
But what do you do what's like your exercise routine like?
I do 3 days a week. So usually a good workout for that is a push-pull leg day. Push being like, chest and triceps and shoulders. Pull being like back and traps and biceps. And then legs just being legs, quads, abs, that sort of thing. Yeah. Each one of those days is dedicated to one of those push-puller leg. And I'll be there like hour and a half.
An hour and a half is good.
I've made some friends there too. So
have made friends?
I made friends, believe it or not.
Jeez, they don't know you very well.
Yeah, no, I know.
Now, what about treadmill, running? You don't do that stuff.
No, I don't like cardio. So
yeah. But what about? I bet you're a lifter, right? You lift.
Yeah, I like the weights. As far as like any cardio, I don't get much. Like I try to drag my daughter to go on a hike with me.
Right.
I used to ride my bike more with a friend, but that kind of fell off. Verona's got some pretty fun trails in the area, but
you sound like you're pretty muscle bound. That you don't move. You move, but it's just to lift stuff.
Yeah, I just move to lift stuff. You look at my Apple Watch, I like walk like, 2,300 steps in a day. Because
that's another. Yeah, where are
day.
you going? Like besides to the bathroom and to the bedroom, that's and to the kitchen.
Get some coffee. I gotta go to the kitchen and get some coffee.
Yeah. So now I know you do like beer, correct?
Yeah, I've been cutting back a bit.
Yeah,
though,
but do you like a particular kind?
I know this sounds, kind of stereotypical, but, I do like IPAs a lot, and lots of breweries make IPAs. Yeah, so I used to drink a lot more, but they ended up giving me lots of headaches. So I've been cutting back to lighter beers. So I'll go back to the stuff I drank when I was in like early 20s. I'll drink like Killian's, I'll drink Dos Equis and stuff like that.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, I like Dos Equis.
Yeah, it tastes even better in Mexico.
Yeah, I bet. But those, I don't get hangovers. I don't get like hangovers. If I drink too many IPAs, I'm like,
wow.
So,
I'll
drink one.
Have you ever heard of Trace Equis? 3 X's.
3 X's?
Yeah.
No, I haven't had one of those.
They haven't. Well, I haven't been to Mexico in a while, but they did have Trace Equis.
Oh boy.
So I don't know what.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the thing. When I was much younger, I'm like, looking for, things with more alcohol. No, I think one has the least amount of alcohol.
And I've never been a beer drinker, but the older I get, the more I seem to like alcohol.
If I'm going somewhere and I know I'm going to be drinking, I'll typically bring like the non-alcoholic beer with me and stuff like that. So I can just I like the taste of it. I like to just kind of hang out with people and have it. And I don't want to worry about getting drunk or feeling like garbage in the morning. So, that's a good way to go, I guess.
We are coming to the end here, Mike.
Seriously?
Yes, we got it.
I got so much more to tell you. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Before we get to the end, I wanted to ask you, I want to take you all the way back in time. Okay.
Oh,
so what's the first thing you remember?
I do know. Not the first thing I remember, but it is a little bit of a trauma. So if you want to hear some trauma.
Well, a lot of people say that.
Yeah. So here, you want to hear my trauma?
Sure.
So, you've been in Jersey for a while, like most of your...
Since 87.
Okay. So this was a little bit before you.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 1984, there was a really, really big flood and it hit Pompton Lakes really hard. And it just so happened, my house happened to be in the flood area.
Oh boy.
One of my very early memories at like clear, meaning like I have earlier memories there that are less clear. This one is like crystal clear, was going into my basement and seeing water pouring into the basement from the river. I happened to be there with my dad and my younger sister, and my dad was running into the basement trying to grab a couple things that were sentimental or valuable or that were in the basement to kind of bring them up to the first floor so they wouldn't get destroyed. And I remember then we went out, like he had a boat, but there was a piece missing or something to that effect. So we had to flag someone down in a boat to get us out of the house. Wow. So we got out of the house, and the kicker is my youngest sister was born on that exact day that we were evacuated from our house. So my mother was in the hospital having it. My dad's in her third child while he's trying to get myself and my other sister out of the house. So I can only imagine what he was going through.
Now, in those days, I don't know the answer to this, but did husbands usually hang around the hospital? We're in the...
I don't know. I think maybe he probably would have.
Yeah, I think so.
Except for I think what happened was, I don't know. I know he moved his car and forgot to move my mom's car. So my mom's car got destroyed in the fire. That. A little bit of those details are kind of vague. I remember we ended up at the church at some point, and then someone in the church put us up for a couple of days before Red Cross came and the water receded, and we had to and then it was just our whole basement ended up being filled with water and about 1.5 feet on the first floor.
Wow.
We found 3 fish in the basement. It was, we got money in to fix the house and stuff, and it flooded again a couple years later, but not into the house, but it did get pretty close. And then we ended up, my dad's like, I can't do this again, and sold the house when we moved out of the flood area.
Yeah.
Still staying in Pompton Lakes, but just not in that area.
Yeah. That area does get, generally. And as you've said, it was a terrifying experience. I can't imagine. you mentioned that you have two sisters, younger and older.
No, they're both younger.
Oh, they're both young.
Yeah, I'm the oldest, but me and I get the middle child, my sister that's close to me I was almost 5 and she was 2.5.
Are you guys close to each other or not so much? Or
I mean, we're close. My one sister lives in Hackettstown with her husband, so she's about 50 minutes away. My other sister lives with her boyfriend in Lincoln Park. So everybody's still like relatively close. You know, we were able to get together for holidays and see each other and stuff like that. No one's super far away.
And people are still talking to each other and stuff.
Yeah. We all talk.
Good. That's an accomplishment. Not every family say that.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay, now we are going to get to that question that I ask everybody at the end, which is, I can't wait to hear this. Who do you recommend that I interview for Seriously Bud?
Have you interviewed Patricia BT yet?
No.
You should interview her. She's also on the GatherPress project.
Yes, she is.
She's very much involved in the WordPress community. She's super interesting. I think that she would make a good person to interview.
What makes you say that? And what's the BT stand for?
That's her last name.
Just BT?
No, it's initials for, I know it and I can't think of.
Where's she from?
She always goes, but she's from Switzerland. She's one of the lead organizers of WordCamp Europe next year.
Oh, so she's important, not like us.
She is important. Yeah.
Okay. So
she's a big deal on the GatherPress project.
Yes. How many times are you going to say GatherPress? Okay. I mean, we can't keep talking about.
Got to work it in.
I know. All right. Enough already. What about her that you think is going to be interesting?
I think she's a very interesting person. I think she comes from a really interesting perspective on the community. I think she has done quite a bit and is a very busy person. She does a lot of things. Yeah. And I think kind of understanding her outside of everything she does, which is an enormous amount of work that she does within the WordPress community, would be kind of fascinating to see what she has time for.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about WordPress.
I know that, but what I'm saying is all of the time that she does have to herself, it might be interesting to know what she does.
Well, I don't know her, but the fact that she's a WordCamp Europe organizer would make it interesting. So if I need to get in touch with her, I will do it with you.
Yeah.
So, Mike, thank you very much.
You bet.
Always good to see you. My traveling buddy, can we tell that little story? Go ahead.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, because, we have to end with this one.
I didn't want to embarrass Bud on his own
asking for it. So I opened up the door, so go right ahead.
All right. Since Bud is asking for it, so we were all going to be traveling to WordCamp US this year. We ended up being on the same flight out of Newark, New Jersey. And I have access to the United Club. So I invited Bud to join me, being like, hey, let's get to the airport a little bit early and we can get some food, get a drink and hang out before we get on the flight. So I get a text from Bud. I just got through security. I am at the top of the escalator, and knowing the terminals in Newark, I knew he was in Terminal A when our flight was in Terminal C, though you did make me pause for a second because I do move things around. So before I responded to you, I'm like, let me just make sure I'm in Terminal C. Yeah, we're in Terminal C. I checked in Terminal C and I texted back, Bud, you're in the wrong terminal. You need to come to Terminal C. And they eventually figured out the busing system over there and made it to the right terminal. But, we got to hang out and got to see you, got some food in you.
Yeah. And moral of the story, of course, is always get to the airport in plenty of time to screw up where you're supposed to be.
That's a good lesson. That's a good lesson.
Yeah.
Especially for you.
Well, you told it well. You didn't make too much. Yeah. Whatever. All right. Thanks again, Mike. See you soon.
You bet.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Hey, I didn't know that Mike lifts weights, but only walks 2,300 steps a day, has a daughter who thinks that JavaScript is nonsense words, and found 3 dead fish in his basement after a flood in 1984. Did you? Now don't forget, you can go to seriouslybud.com and hear all my past episodes, and you can subscribe to my newsletter as well. So until next time, thank you for your time.